that I don't think we've seen the best version of this Oklahoma Sooners football program for 2024 just yet. How can they improve? What can they show us the rest of the way? Or have they peaked yet? We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. The Oklahoma Sooners, I feel like, are still being viewed under the radar. This is a team that, listen, they haven't been great this year. The offense has been a roller coaster ride. The quarterback change has created a lot of uncertainty. But I think what we saw out of the Auburn game is a team that still has some growing to do. But I think we're seeing a team that hasn't reached its peak yet. I know that that's crazy to think, but this team has a chance to get much, much better as the season goes along. How quickly? We'll see.
Yeah. This team has not hit its peak. There's still a lot of growth there. And we talked about this, last week. The best part that we're seeing about this team now is that we're seeing week over week movement forward. And that's kind of the thing that's most important. The defense has been carrying the majority of the load, but I think the offense is going to start taking some of that load away, right? We saw a little bit that in the Auburn game when we did the big drive to get us back close. And then the defense closed the game out for us. And then, of course, the offense did what it needed to do to run as much clock as possible and let the defense finalize things. And so as long as the offense can find a way to just keep moving the ball forward, if you want me to be honest, man, this team can be very dangerous. And you're right. Everyone's seeing Oklahoma as a under the radar type team, or a team that, they're not really looking at them specifically because this team has flip-flopped from what historically Oklahoma's been over the last 20 years, which was mainly an offensive-centric team, right, one of the highest-scoring teams in college football in a lot of different moments, to a team that's defense is literally taking over everything, and the offense is still trying to grow. So it's just we're not accustomed to seeing this type of Oklahoma team. I think once Michael Hawkins really gets ingrained and they start really opening up the playbook and he gets to really do his thing, this team's going to be a lot better. And don't even think about next season. Like next season, this team's going to be ridiculous. It's probably going to be the most dangerous team in college football next year. But this year, this team is going to be that sneaky good team that could push itself up a lot higher than people think. Right? It could go past the win total, no problem, based upon the way all those games happened this past weekend.
Yeah, I'm seeing Oklahoma show up on a lot of the quote-unquote pretenders list at this point, and I think they've got a lot to prove still, and I think that's a place that they don't mind being. They want to continue to get better. They want to continue to improve, and a lot of it is going to fall on the shoulders of Michael Hawkins and the offense, but I don't think that's going to bother him one bit. I think this is a guy that is ready to kind of carry the load of the program, be the face of the program. He just doesn't look like somebody who rattles under the pressure, at least through his first 6+ quarters of action. I mean, he's held up. It's just a matter of now taking the game management and going from game manager to playmaker. Because listen, I don't want to sound negative, the game manager aspect, but you can tell that he's trying not to turn the ball over.
Yes.
Much like Jackson Arnold, much like even Nico Yamaleava, these young quarterbacks have been so focused on protecting the football that at times not letting it loose, maybe when the play is there to be made. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say he's missing wide open guys. I'm not saying that, but there are times probably that he's seeing it and just uncertain about throwing it. And I think as he gets more comfortable in the offense, he's going to throw it and he's going to feel more comfortable throwing it. And I think that's going to help open things up a little bit more, especially with the offensive line coming back together, getting healthier, having some cohesion, some chemistry and continuity up there. That's going to matter a lot. And then getting a guy like Deion Burks back is going to open things up a lot more as well. But I think you'll start to see Michael Hawkins play a little bit more confident, play with a little bit more moxie. The more game time he gets, the more playing time he gets, you're going to see him taking some shots. You're going to see more of the JJ Hester deep ball where, listen, JJ Hester, I mean, yeah, he had the guy beat down the field, but it wasn't like it was beat by 10 yards. The guy was right on JJ Hester's hip and Michael Hawkins threw the ball. So that's kind of what I think needs to happen for Oklahoma to take the next step on offense. On defense, is there a way that Oklahoma can continue to improve, or have they kind of reached their ceiling so far?
I think the improvement's going to be on the secondary, right? We've seen the linebackers do just about everything you could imagine. They're not only blitzing, they're in coverage, they're getting interceptions and returning them for touchdowns. I mean, what more could you ask for them, right? They're causing fumbles. Same thing with the defensive line. They're getting sacks, they're causing pressure, they're making things really hard for quarterbacks who need a little bit of extra time and actually have good offensive lines. They're being super disruptive. So overall, I think those units are doing the best. The secondary is going to have to cut back on a lot of the big plays. And now, granted, when you have a very aggressive defense, you're more susceptible to the deep pass, right? You're going to give up some bigger plays because you're going to start putting dudes on the island. And if you don't get to the quarterback fast enough, it just makes them have to just chase a dude around in circles and not knowing where they're going, right? Once the route concept is done and they're freestyling, it's almost hard to be able to pattern match a wide receiver just in open space. So for us, it's not only getting to the quarterback faster, I think the secondary is going to have to be able to play. We're going to play at a little bit faster speed, or we're going to put faster guys out there in preparation for some of those deep routes. On top of that, I kind of want the secondary to get a little bit more aggressive on trying to pick off passes. We kind of have an idea of what passes are coming, especially those short ones. When you know they're going to do a quick little wheel route in this little area, second safety, be up top just in case. Corner, run up and try to pick that pass. We're going to need to create a lot more turnovers just to help the offense. And to be honest, that's going to be the best way to get the defense the opportunity to get breaks, is by us getting those type of turnovers. So I think the secondary is where we're going to need to see the biggest improvement. Not saying they're playing bad, but saying they probably have the best opportunity, because if we can get teams to, throw in less than 200 yards a game on a regular basis, hey man, that would be a huge improvement to what we've done over the last few years here at Oklahoma.
Well, I also think just even making teams drive the length of the field and not allowing big plays, it feeds into what Oklahoma is really, really good at. And I mean, they're good at stopping the run. They're good at rushing the passer. They're good at creating turnovers. The more plays that an offense is on the field, it's more plays for the defense to be on the field, but it creates the opportunity for the offense to make a mistake, whether it's a false start, a holding penalty, an incompletion, a deflected pass, an interception, whatever it is. There's more opportunities for an offense to make a mistake when they're on the field for a lot longer than, hey, 50-yard bomb, touchdown, And I think you're right. I think the cornerback group, if they can continue to get better and they can continue to improve, which I think they will, we'll see what Gentry Williams' availability is going to be like coming out of the bye. I'm not having any great expectations for his availability. So if it's Des Malone and Kenai Walker on the outside, then these guys know to be ready for a full complement of snaps. And you're going to start seeing more Eli Bowen on the outside as well. And so I do think
Makari Vickers.
Makari Vickers. I do think the cornerback group can get better. I think that they have played fairly well. Mm-hmm. It's some of the technical aspects, getting your head around so that you can play the ball when it's in the air, as opposed to just strictly playing the wide receiver. It's converting Kenai Walker on some of those opportunities to pick off a pass when the ball goes through your hands or hits off your hands. The corners are playing aggressive football. I think you made a great point in that you've got to get to the quarterback quicker, or you at least have to get him off his spot. If you're not going to get there, you got to get him off of his spot where he doesn't have the ability to put his arm and his legs and his whole body into a throw down the field. He's got to move and then try to make that throw. It makes it a lot more challenging for the quarterback. So even if you're not going to be able to get there, at least creating the pressure to get him uncomfortable so he's not able to use all of his mechanics in his toolbox to make the throw. And I think that's going to make a big difference.
Fair point. That's true. And the other good thing too for the secondary is that when we start to play some of the younger players, all that's going to do is grow them more for next season, right? I know Kenai can come back. Dez, I think he's about done with eligibility. So you'll probably see, like I said, more Eli Bowen. You'll see some Makari Vickers. I don't know what side of the ball Jacoby's going to play. I mean, they're going to have him play Travis Hunter and do both sides. I don't know.
I'm for it.
Hey, sign me up. I want to see his athleticism. Let's watch him go out there and do some things, right?
Go play ball.
Just go play ball. Just go play ball.
Easy.
But also on top of that, the secondary, right? The safety room, as much as that has, well, how as elite as that room has been, right? I'm ready to see the young guys like Reggie Powers as well as Boganowski and Jaden Hardy really ball out. Man, we've got a very bright future with it. If anything, I need to see a little bit more aggressiveness, though.
Yeah. And hopefully coming out of the bye, everybody is a little bit more locked in on where they're supposed to be, because some of the coverage mishaps were at times due to not being in the right spot, not being able to get over and into position, or a miscommunication that created a big play. So coming out of the bye, everybody has a clear understanding of what their responsibilities are in the defense moving forward. And you're going to need it this week against Texas with their trio of wide receivers. It's pretty good. And probably Quinn Ewers back as well. That's going to create some big challenges for the Oklahoma Sooners secondary on the outside. What a weekend in the SEC. What does it mean for the Oklahoma Sooners? We'll discuss.